Welcome to In the Dark, everyone. Hope everyone is having a wonderful evening or day or afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world. I've got listeners all over. I have an interview with Robin tonight, just going over some things that we haven't covered yet. I took a section out of this interview to add to for another podcast night, which I'm going to put up within another day or two, where she had done something with the paranormal stuff, like the spirits, demons, ghosts, that type of stuff. And the podcast ended up becoming so long that I really wanted to kind of separate that out from the cryptid and the ET world. So I will be posting that up in another, couple days here for you. I've spent most of my day going over this podcast and editing it. It was really long, but we definitely get to talking, and we just love to talk to each other. So I hope you guys enjoy the show tonight. The one thing I did learn from this podcast and talking to Robin today through our discussion, and that's really why I'm here, is to learn and to share what I learn and, the encounters that people have so that we can protect ourselves and know what's really going on out there, is that the more positivity you have in your life, the more the higher your vibration is going to be. And it's just a way of battling all this. And I think it's extremely important for everybody to understand that, the music that we listen to, the shows that we watch, the movies, even the comedy, like all the darkness that's out there, I believe the darkness is being engineered that way. I believe that the negativity that's just filling the world and growing darker and darker, and it's getting bigger and bigger, is what's feeding so much of the bad, of this darkness, whether it's Satan, whether it's he's part of, another group that could be part of the cabal and the AI and the winged, reptilians. We don't really know if they're together, they're separate. I just feel that we really need to understand that whatever the dark forces are out there, whether they're all part of the same group or whether they're separated into their own, groups, we need to fight them with as much positivity as we can. Depression, suicide, hate, being prejudiced, racism, not liking somebody because they don't share your same religion, or your same belief system, whether you're male, the separation between men and women, this thing that we've been brought up to hear and believe about, the separation between men and women, and, some of the things that you grow up hearing or you hear later on in life, whether it's through childhood or whether you're an adult when you start to learn it, like I did. As I got older, I started to learn more and more about how much hate there was directed towards each sex. This is all being engineered. It's whatever it is, whatever it's causing it, whatever the topic is or the reasons are, it's all being engineered. And I believe that it's a way of creating the negativity, and that negativity and that hate is what's feeding these entities and these beings that are trying to destroy us. So the one thing that I've taken out of this interview tonight is that we need to stay as positive as we can. That means, get rid of all the junk music that's hateful and filled with rage and filled with, disgusting words and, disgusting viewpoints, and, get rid of, the even the scary movies, the horror flicks, and it's one thing to be on a show where you're learning about what's really going on in the world, to protect yourself, and it's a whole other ball game when you're just getting on movies that are specifically made to, send out graphic images and Satanism and evil and whatever it is. That's a whole different thing. So, I think a lot of what God judges us on is our intent. I think that's most of what we're judged on. So if you're going into something and you're doing it to be entertained, or, you're just really knee deep in all the crap and the hate and the anger and the rage and just all of it, the politics, the stuff that's going on with the political system. Most of that, guys, they're mostly in it all together. There might be a few here and there that are separated from the rest, and they're usually the ones that are really hated. So just be careful, really understand that. If you're going to sleep at night, put a very low version of the Bible on when you're going to sleep to protect you in your sleep, or put on something funny, that's not trash funny, that's good, clean funny. Something upbeat. If you tend to fall asleep at the TV like I do and Robin does, during the day, listen to some piano or violin, or something beautiful or something educational, or try to get yourself surrounded with as much positivity as you can, and laugh as much as you can, and try to spread as much love as you can, because that is what's going to ward these things off. So that's what you have to remember, just do the best you can with this. So enough of all that. I am going to now turn you over to the podcast, and I hope you guys enjoy the show. Here we go. Hello, lady.
Hey, it worked on the first try. How are you?
Whenever you say that, we end up getting disconnected.
I know. I've got to quit being positive like that.
Yeah, really. Why are you so positive, Robin?
I know. I have to, too, before we go, I get done talking to you tonight, send me your email, because the video I sent you, when it came to me over text, it just didn't do it justice. So my son-in-law is the one that actually took the video. So I had him email it to me. You can see everything, like windows in the craft. It's like really cool. Kidding. Oh my God, he did it. I've not seen such good footage. Like, he did an outstanding job.
What did he use for a camera? Was it just his phone?
Yeah.
So what Robin's talking about is, now, when did this take place? It was you sent it to me last night.
Yeah, like 3 days ago.
This and was
at I think it was 6:44 at night. And then we went out the following night. Nothing was there, which was unusual because there's usually something flying around up there. So then I went out last night. Nothing was there. I waited an hour, went out, and I saw out farther in the distance, I saw more of the white light that was darting all over the place. Obviously not in something that our ships can do, airplanes can do. And I tried to get a photo of it, and every time I put it on the camera, it was like it wasn't there. I took the camera down and you could watch it. Put the camera up and nothing was there.
That's so weird.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it was she caught a UFO, and it is some clear footage. Like, this is...
Yeah, my son-in-law gets credit for all of it, because he took it. Like, he had gone outside, and he sees a lot of this stuff at night because he goes outside to smoke. He doesn't smoke in the house, thankfully. And he goes outside, and he'll come in and get me and say, this is going on out here. And Pat and I have seen a lot of it as well. But he had gone outside, and he saw it, and he came in and got us. And so the three of us were outside on the porch. It was just beyond belief. Like, he outdid himself as far as the footage and the photos. He just...
there was just a couple sections there. This was like, wow. Like, and you're telling me you have something clearer.
Yeah, wait till you see the video when I email it to you. You can see the saucer spin, and you can see the little squares all the way around the saucer in different colors. And then it had another ship near it, where the one was a saucer, the other one went up and down, and it was red.
I saw that. And I was wondering what that was.
No, it was another ship. And it was really bizarre because it was like dancing all over the place. The white one was the saucer-shaped one, and then that one moved a little bit as well. And I was telling Ryan and Pat, I said, years ago, and this was probably, I'm going to say roughly 2013, and that's an estimation.
Mm-hmm.
I was out in the yard. I was talking to a researcher, and it was like 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. And I saw this saucer come down in my yard, and it was that same red lava colored. And there was no markings or features on it. It came down and it got probably 15 feet off the ground, 10, 15 feet. And I don't remember anything after that, except next thing I knew, it was an hour and 45 minutes later in our time, because their time is different. So how long it was in theirs, I don't know, but our time was an hour and 45 minutes. I was standing in my yard. The phone was in my hand, but it was disconnected. And I called the person back that I was talking to, and he said, I just thought your battery died. He said it went all staticky, and he said you were gone. So he said, I just, thought her battery died. She'll call me back later. The odd thing about that was I felt like I was in a trance. I couldn't really
You were
verbalize things.
abducted.
Yeah, I couldn't really
You were
verbalize.
abducted.
Like
Yeah.
in my mind, I was like, oh my God, this just happened. An hour and 45 minutes is gone. What happened? Well, that was gone. But my body motions were almost like robotic. And so I got off the phone with him. I walked in the house. My kids were in there, and I said, did everybody, shower, do homework, get a snack, whatever? And they're like, yeah, Mom. And they were teenagers at the time. And they're like, yeah, Mom, we're good. And instead of staying up until they went to bed, I was like, okay, you guys go ahead and go to bed. I'm going to go to bed, which was unusual for me to go first. I went in, I took a bath, I laid down, I went to sleep. I was in this trance for 3 days. I got up in the morning, I took them to school, I came home, I made dinner, I did everything, but I was not verbal. And they kept saying, are you all right? Are you all right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And in my mind, I was conscious of this, but I couldn't verbalize it, and I couldn't act it. And on the third day, I took him to school in the morning, and I came in the house, and I went up the same steps that I did that night. And it was like somebody just ripped the blinders off, and I was like hyperventilating. I had a panic attack. I couldn't remember what had been done, but I knew something had been done, and there was nobody there to tell.
Wow.
It was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I mean, it was crazy. And so when I saw that the other night, the shape was completely different on the red one. So that part didn't throw me. But when I saw the color, I was like, I remember that color. It looks like lava. It's, it was that to that point. But yeah, the red one to me, anyway, looked more up and down.
Right.
But like the shape of a top. Like those tops that the kids had.
Yep, exactly. That's what
I don't know, what Ryan and Pat might have thought it looked like on that end. But Ryan just did beyond amazing getting the footage and the photos. And then I took it and enlarged it so we could see even more. But he did a phenomenal job. It was his find. He was the one that was outside and saw it first and then came and got us. But we've had on the other side of the property, we've had consistently for, I want to say, a good year or so, these two that come up there, and they're always white, but they flash each other. It's like they signal each other and talk to each other. And Pat and Ryan have been out there before with the flashlight, flashing it. And then I'm like, no, just stop. So Ryan stopped doing it. Now I got to get Pat to quit doing it. And then I had a friend of ours from Michigan that was actually here, and this was a couple of years ago. And he was upstairs, and I think he forgot his phone charger or whatever in the car. Anyway, he got up. It was like 4 or 5 in the morning, went out to his car to get something, turned around to come in and went, oh my God, there's a UFO above the garage. And Pat's gone outside because he leaves for work really early. He, like, I want to say within the last 12 months, he walked outside to go to work, and there was one hovering. Well, I guess it was nighttime. It wasn't in the morning. It was at night. He walked outside to get something from the vehicle, and there was one hovering above the garage. And then I've got that photo that I've shown you of the triangle craft above the garage, and below it there's a portal with the head coming out of it.
That's wild. That portal picture is nuts.
Crazy?
It's
you
wild
can
looking.
Thing. Just crazy.
Yeah.
But the ETs have been, they really have, like, even the last 6 months, they've always been active here from the time we moved in. I can remember I went to a doctor's appointment, and I stopped at the gas station, which is like 5 miles away. And the Foots were mind speaking, going, don't go back to the house, don't go back to the house. And I said, why? And this was right after we moved in. I said, why can't I go home? And they said, there's a ship there, look towards the house. And I did. And it had been quite large because I could see it. And it was in the general vicinity of where the house was. And they were like, you can't go back while it's there. It's looking for you. And I'm like, okay. And so I went to the doctor's appointment, and afterwards they said it was gone. So I went ahead and went back home. But yeah, it was crazy. Literally crazy.
Well, what's the difference between that ship looking for you and then other ones that are showing up? Like what's what's the difference? Like, why do you have to, I mean, how, like, wouldn't they warn you about all of them, or was it just that one?
I don't know. Like that particular one, whatever was going on with that particular one. And I've seen that one before.
Mm-hmm.
I
wonder why that was concerning to them. Or maybe they were just trying to spare you an abduction, knowing that you've had them.
Well, and they've continued it my whole life. I mean, the first one I remember, I was 4. And at that time, they told me they had taken me before that. So, but I don't have any memory of that, anything before that. It's been really crazy. Like when this was going on out there with the UFO, like the night, it was either that night or the night before, I let the dogs out one more time for the night, and they're all running around the backyard because I have that fenced-in yard behind me, and they're all running around acting like crazy people, nothing big. And next thing I know, something grabbed the fence and just shook the crap out of the fence. But it didn't scare the dogs. They just started wagging their tails and went running over to the fence. And I was like, okay, here we go.
Was it Brownie, do you think, or somebody that?
No, it wasn't Brownie. I asked him if it was him, and he said no. He said it wasn't him.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was totally crazy.
Somebody that dogs like, apparently.
Oh, yeah. They seem to like them. Like, I'm not having problems with them bothering my dogs. I know a lot of people do. Yeah. I've never had that issue. Like, they've always been really good. When I lived at my other house, I told them, here's the deal. You can be here, but, I don't hurt your children. You're not going to hurt mine, and these are my pets. I don't hurt. I mean, they have pets. They use anything that's out in the woods as a pet. I mean.
Yeah, no, you told me that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Robin, why do they live so barbarically? I was watching this thing tonight on this new, not stem cell, it's like another cell type of research they're uncovering for cancer treatments that seems to be really effective. And I just got to thinking, I was like, why do the Bigfoot and the dogmen, with them being, in a sense, higher beings, like having abilities that we don't have, why do they live the way they do? Like, why are they so how we're so refined and civilized
because
and such?
Of us. I mean, hands down, because of us. Our people kill what they don't understand. Rather than try to share this planet, they will kill anything and everything. And number one, they're quite happy being off by themselves. They're doing what they want to do. But
just seems like a rough way to live.
Oh, absolutely. But I think that for them, they've been around, according to the Ketchum study, which I believe in 110%. They've been around for at least 15,000 years.
Yeah.
Back then we were all living like they are. And it's not that they haven't evolved. I mean, they've got the abilities to do anything they want, but we're the enemy. I mean, they don't treat all of us like that, obviously. The people that they like, they get along very well. They habituate them. They work with them. It's like with me, they come to me and they want something. And if it's reasonable, I can get it for them. If they need healing, I try to do that. And so, I mean, it's a give and take.
Right.
And they certainly have done their fair share as far as to help me. We had an experience here the other night. I've got photos. I've got to send you these photos.
Yes,
so
you do.
We had, the big storm that went across the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in South Carolina, we didn't get the snow, but we did get the heavy winds, and we got just a downpour of rain. So my property is in the woods, but it's outlined with these 30, 40-foot pine trees up and down the side of my property. Well, right now I have a large amount of cars here. I have a car that a friend of mine had my son work on, and they've got to come pick it up. And then my daughter's car, my son-in-law, and ours. And then my friend has allowed me to borrow her pickup truck. So her pickup truck's out there. And the pickup truck was over not far from the garage. So we go to bed, whatever. And the storm hits during the night. Pat leaves for work at like 5 a.m. And the wind was just super, super bad. We were having like 40-mile plus winds. And I got up and I was talking to him and I was telling him, I'm concerned about you driving because the wind's so bad, blah, blah, blah. And he walked out in the garage, lifted the garage, and he said, the tree's down. I said, what do you mean the tree's down? And the only thing I could think of is because all the cars are parked in front of the house. Like, forget using the driveway because there's so many. We just, everybody's lining up in front of the house. And I thought, oh my God, one of the cars has got, if one of those big pine trees came down, it's 30, 40 feet tall. It's going to take out one of these vehicles. And he said, no. He said, it stopped about 6 foot from Geraldine's truck, who's a friend of mine. In fact, she's someone that I want to get on here as well when you have time. She's got some great stories. And about the Bigfoot around her, they saved her life. So he backs up the car and he leaves. Okay. So I'm like, oh, thank you, dear Lord. The tree didn't hit the truck. It's not my truck. I mean, I would just feel horrible. So I get up, and by the time I get up, a few hours later, the sun's out and the storm has passed. I go out there and it didn't set in my brain right that none of these vehicles got hit. Like, how is that possible?
Right.
Knowing the size of these trees. I go out there, and not only is this tree down and it missed the truck, but the top of it was snapped backwards, just like the head on an arrow. Now, that is not natural. If that came down and it broke, it would have just drummed right there. There was not a scratch on that truck. There wasn't even a piece of wood on that truck.
Wow.
But 6 feet from that, and the size around of the tree was a little bit smaller than a tire.
Yeah.
So and it was a live tree.
Yeah. Healthy.
And it was down, but the top of it had been snapped off and facing back towards the garage.
Wow, that's amazing.
But when we first moved in and Hurricane Florence hit, we had another pine tree in the back, and it started before the storm hit. When we first moved in, it was already tipping. And it was coming towards the house. It would have taken out the entire garage, and above the garage is the bonus room. And we had this hurricane coming, and the only thing really that was keeping it up, I think, is we get those, I think they call them kudzu vines, and they're wrapped around the trees. And it was a live tree, but it was tipped.
Yeah.
And I thought, my God, as soon as this hurricane hits with those winds, the garage is gone. God. And we called around, and nobody could come out to take it down. We had just moved in a few months before that. And we had no tools here, nothing. And you would have to have some type of equipment for a tree that large.
Right.
And I was absolutely terrified. And so I stood out in the backyard like an idiot. And I said, hey, guys, I could really use an assist. Like, I know you like playing in the bonus room because I'm finding muddy footprints up there all the time.
Oh, and
God. Toys moved around for the grandkids and muddy footprints all the time up there. And I'm like, so you aren't going to have a place to play because when this tree comes down, it's taking out the whole garage and that.
Yeah.
And so I said that, and I went in the garage, and Pat and I were working on some stuff in there to kind of get everything secure for the hurricane. And we had the garage window open on the side, and we heard something hit the ground outside. And then it was like all the air got sucked out of the garage. And I was like, oh my God, the hurricane's here 2 days early. So I went running to the porch. I go outside, and it's all sunny, and there's no wind. There's nothing. And I'm like, I know something happened. What happened? I look over, and the tree's gone.
Wow.
So I look over for the tree. Not only was the top of it, like the top 15 feet, snapped backwards, just like the one out in the front yard, but where the base of it was, where the trunk was broken off, and again, it was a live tree. Not only was it broken off, it was pulled back 10 feet from the stump.
That's amazing.
That's not possible.
Right.
Right. So it was, so they help out when they can. They're
I want to say something too. I cracked up because on your profile picture for Christmas, Robin's got these cute decorations, and she's the only person I know that somehow got herself a Bigfoot like a little knickknack, like a little figurine that's a Bigfoot, and she's got it walking through her Christmas village. I thought that was the funniest thing. I was like, that is great. That was so cute. So I'm
Oh
gonna
my
steal
God.
that.
It was,
You,
I
you
got
need a dog
that.
man too, though.
I know I haven't seen one. I got
Hmm.
that when I went to Colorado.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
I was so excited. I can't remember. It seems to me, I can't remember if I bought it or if
Hmm.
Kenny Collins or Harriet McFeely gave it to me. But anyway, I got it during that time span. And I have guarded that thing like it's the Hope Diamond because I'm so
It's so
terrified
cute.
it will break. And so when the grandkids, we were very blessed. We had them the week before Christmas and for Christmas,
Hmm.
and they decorated.
Oh my
And
God.
they had that little area where that little tree was at in the houses, and they had the cotton down and everything. So I went and I got that, and I thought, you know what? If I'm not putting it on a tree, my cats will knock. I didn't even put up a tree this year, to be honest with you. They decorated everything else, but um, I did because I had a little ceramic tray. I left that, and we had this like little, 2 foot tall one, but that was it. And I thought if I put that on a tree, those cats will knock that from here to beyond.
Hmm.
So I thought I'm putting it right on that because it can lean right up against it. So yeah, that's where he was at. In fact, I just took that down today.
Oh,
Just
that was
today did
so
he come
cute.
down. Oh, he's precious.
I
I
should put that
absolutely
up
love him.
as maybe I'll put that up as the picture for this podcast.
Yeah,
I'll
isn't he
put that.
cute? He's
Yeah.
just precious.
Yeah, I always like to, put up something that relates to the podcast. Like if we talk about a
Yeah.
picture or something that's going on, that's why I really try to stick to that kind of stuff so people can kind of at least see, at least one of the pictures that we're talking about,
Oh my gosh,
because they're
yeah.
so hard to get up there.
Yeah,
But
it's crazy. And
yeah.
I kind of struggle because I don't know which groups to put these UFO photos in.
Oh yeah. Well,
But
I've
they're
put a couple groups
outstanding.
on there,
Yeah, oh,
you
that's
know.
right. You gotta, and I'm in them, but people put me in all these groups, and I forget all the names of the groups. So you have to message me the names of it so I can
Yeah.
be clear to put it in there. I wish I could get the good video to play, but when Ryan sent it to me, he sent it to me in text,
Mm-hmm.
and it just looks like a white thing popping around. It doesn't do it justice, and that's the one I sent you. And
Yeah.
so I said to him, I said, will you send it to me again? So he sent it to me again. It did the same thing. So he sent it in email and we did it. And oh my gosh, you can see everything. It's just astounding.
That's
So
amazing.
we have a big screen TV. So
Mm-hmm.
we transferred it up there to watch it. And oh my goodness, it was just off the charts. Like I said, Brian outdid himself with these photos and the video footage. It was tremendous. He
Maybe
does
I'll
a great
put
job. He's gotten some absolutely phenomenal captures. He was outside the other day in the front yard and he just took pictures of the woods across the street. And there was absolutely, it was incredible. I can't even tell you how many things were over there. And they were over there. Apparently, there's a meeting going on. And there was elementals, there was dimensionals, there
Oh
were
my
Bigfoots, there
gosh.
were dogmen, there were spirits, you name it. It was out there. And it was just absolutely incredible. So,
Is
I
that
mean,
the day that you got the picture of the Bigfoot in cloaking coming out of the woods?
it might have been.
Well, Pat put that up. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was because I think Ryan took that one
Okay, that
and
was a
gave it
good
to
one.
Pat. Yeah. Ryan took
Yeah,
he's been extremely generous with these photos. He's like, Mom, you can put them in all your groups. You can do what you want to do with them. So
yeah.
he's phenomenal at getting these photos and he's been absolutely tremendous about just saying, you're welcome to put them wherever you want to put them. So,
Maybe I'll
we've
make a
been really
link.
lucky.
Maybe I'll put a YouTube. I'll save the video you sent me and put it up on YouTube so the listeners can see it. Don't forget, everybody, we're on YouTube too. Now, my podcast channel does like 5 times, I have 5 times more people on here. It's a lot. It's a lot more people, but on YouTube, we're just kind of still building that. And I don't advertise YouTube or anything. So I'm just kind
Yeah.
of up there. What happens is I put my podcast up and it's linked to in this with this company, and the company actually throws it up on YouTube for me. So
Oh, how
I have
cool.
nothing. Yeah, I have nothing to do with it. It just literally takes all the information off the podcast and it throws it up on YouTube, but it's growing all the time. So
Yeah.
just so everybody knows, I'm on, Apple Podcast, Spotify. There's a bunch of them, Breaker. And then, we're on YouTube. There's just a whole bunch of them. So, but we are up on YouTube. So if you guys want to see any like videos or anything, I might start adding stuff up there, like video wise, and just
Yeah.
have little clips of it. But
Yeah.
that would be something good to put up there because that's a fantastic video. That's just great.
Yeah. Oh, wait till you see
Well,
it. The one that's a little bit clearer. It really will blow your mind.
I
He
can't
sent
wait.
it. He sent it to MUFON, and MUFON's really interested in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he really? Oh, that's amazing.
They've already gotten back with him. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So,
That's
but the
great.
thing of it is this is what goes on all the time. And I
Yeah.
can't say it's just because of where I'm at, because it was the same bloody thing when I
No.
lived in Michigan. It's wherever
Yeah.
I go. This has been going on my whole life.
And
So I don't,
they're so out there for everybody to see them too. It isn't like God,
it's
they don't even
getting,
try to hide.
no, they don't.
You know?
No, I think the days of them hiding are long gone. But if you go
Yeah.
back and look at the prediction the Bigfoot made years ago, there will be a big fat battle fought here. It will be all the dimensions, the planes, the rifts,
Oh my God.
all being fought here on our planet. Most people that don't have a high enough vibration will not even realize that they're here. Then what they call the Bigfoot's called the knowers will be aware of it.
Oh, that's lovely. I'm so ecstatic.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is, and really, I noticed, I mean, I think it's always been building up to this anyway, but I think like the last 2 or 3 years, I've really noticed it more. But nothing seems to be overly shy anymore.
Yeah, I
I
can
mean,
tell.
that one ship that I was out at the end of my driveway waiting for Igor and Janice Carter to get here at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I was on the phone with my friend Wanda, and it literally came right above the car. Like I'm looking at the bottom of it,
Yeah.
you know? It was massive. It was probably half the size of a football field, and it was just sitting above the tree line. And you could not see how it was moving. It was going down the road, literally going down the road above the tree line, and it stopped right at my house.
Mm-hmm.
It just hovered there, and I don't think it knew that I was there because I had the lights off to the car.
Right.
And so I started the car and hit the lights, and when I did, it instantly closed. But I
Just
sat there talking to Wanda, describing to her the underside of it and going, oh my God, this is unbelievable. And she's like, oh, take a picture, take a picture. And I don't know what made me not, other than I
well,
was so
fear.
shocked. And I wasn't
Yeah.
afraid. That's the thing that was so weird. I wasn't afraid. I was like, oh my God, this is really happening. I'm
Yeah.
looking at this and I'm like, I am not going to take a picture. You could be the last human being I talk to
Yeah.
before I get beamed up again.
That's what's so funny though. Like you've been in these ships, you've had abductions, and yet you're still like in awe that they're like above your car. It's
I
like it's
know.
kind of funny when you think
I
about it.
know. But
You
it's like,
know?
a lot of them I'll remember later on in a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And the one, it was really weird. Like the setting they had me in, I was in this town, and they've been taking my DNA for years, and what I would consider one of their medical people or whatever the hell they are, were trying to extract DNA from me, and I got away from them, and I saw a friend of mine there. And the next day I called her and she said, oh my God, I remember seeing you last night. And she remembered
Oh,
the
that's
exact same thing. And
weird.
I'm like, any doubt I had of whether or not, it was a dream or not, just got shot right out the
Yeah.
window, because she had the same thing. But, Pat, myself, and my daughter, we've woken up with these triangular shapes on us. They're like
Just
3 pinpricks, and they're in the shape of a perfect triangle. All sides are exactly equal in size.
yeah.
And all three of us have had it.
Something up with that triangle thing, isn't there? There sure
They're
is.
obsessed with it. They're obsessed with triangles. I
There
have
was
this,
talking about that with the shapes and the geometry, all the different patterns and the symbolisms that we have, how it just affects everything, and it's so important to them for
well,
whatever reason.
I have this photo, and to be honest with you, I have no clue what it is. I'm really hands down don't know. But it's two triangles, one on top of the other, so
Mm-hmm.
that it almost makes like not a hexagon, but like the Star of David type shape.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Mm.
I took a picture. I didn't see it when I took a picture, and it appeared in the picture. And it's almost like at an angle off the ground. I'll find it and get you that one too.
Yeah, I wonder
The
what that
thing
is.
that's so crazy about that is when I was in Michigan, and the group there, I will never have another group as wonderful as the group I worked with there. I mean, Brownie and Blackie and Shadow and Naiden and them are all from Michigan, and Suntai, and they came here. And then when I moved back to Michigan, they're excited to be going home. But as far as the entire clan, the whole clan, if they're here, I'm not aware that all of them are here, but they were just the best. Yeah, I mean, to work with them, it was just an incredible experience that will never happen again. And I knew it when I was there. I thought to myself multiple times, no matter what I do, no matter which ones I work with, it'll never be like this. The things that they allowed me, I'll probably never have that happen again. But I mean, I'll have interaction, but but anyway, Igor Borstev was coming out when he was in the States, and he'd stay for 2 or 3 months at a time, and he'd go out and interact with them and stuff. And they put one time, and I have pictures of it, it looks like the Star of David. They took like reeds off these plants that's like the color of straw, and they literally made a star. It looks exactly like the Star of David. It's just tremendous. And the triangles across the road, it was one regular triangle and one upside down triangle, and it made the same shape.
Okay, what about crop circles?
Oh, that's totally, the ETs make crop circles all the time. They really do. But I mean, do I think humans do as well? 100%. They go out there to mess with people because they think it's funny, and and it takes away from the validity of the real stuff. But do they make them? 100% they do. You've got, and I'm not going to say this right. Pichu, what is it? Mitsu Picchu? I don't say it right. But anyway, they have like the monkey and the spider, and they have these massive things that are made into the ground. And when you go above them in a plane, you can see how vast these are, and just perfectly made. There's no way a person can be on the ground and have the precision to make these animals and these things that are there.
Right.
I'm not saying that people can't go out with a board and make the little crop circle thingies, but there's a lot of them that are huge and intricate and cannot possibly be duplicated by a person. They just can't.
So what's
I will never believe
them?
it.
Do you know what the point of them is?
No, I don't. I wish I did, but I don't.
You should ask.
The other thing too is when they go and inspect these crop circles. I had a very dear friend that worked with MUFON in Michigan on the crop circles, and you go out there and there's radioactivity. They're radioactive, I mean, at the base of them. And also when you look at the stalks, I believe, and don't quote me on this, they're burned from the inside out.
Yeah.
Not the outside in.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things. I mean, I'm not an expert or anything like that on that, but there's a lot of things that you can tell if it's one of our people messing around just to be a horse's ass, or if it's real.
Yeah.
In my mind, I believe that there's some kind of message for the other ships that come above. What those messages mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't. Why they made the animal ones, I don't know. I do know on the property that I had in Michigan, we had 10 acres, and they built this one structure that it was so crazy. It wasn't laying on the ground. It wasn't completely upright. It was at an angle. And the angle that it was at faced the only opening in the trees that would go up to the sky in our backwoods. So you could see it. If you were a ship or a plane going over it, you could see it. Right. Because that was the only opening in the whole woods. And it was at an angle to be able to see it. It wasn't laying flat. Right. And I had somebody that came to my house that looked at it and said, you know what? He got it in his head, and which I thought was brilliant. He said, let's go into town and get a plat map. And I said, for what? He said, this looks to me like a map. What it's a map of, I don't know. Let's start out looking to see if it's a map of your property. I said, okay. So we went into town, we got a plat map. It matched it perfectly. You could take the picture of it and lay the plat map over it, and it was perfect. And it shined right up through the opening in the trees. They
Well,
literally made a map of my house.
yeah, but I wonder why. It's like a
Right.
signal
Right. And I'm thinking if they're already over the house, what do they need a map for? They're already there.
to tell others,
Yeah, they have to. I mean, it was
signal others.
crazy,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, it's wild. And
That's
then the one night Ryan and I were out on the porch and we were talking about it. And I believe this was right before this happened. And in fact, I've got to get the photos from him. He took some pictures of the house, and we had one peeking its head out while we're on the back porch, peeking an ET peeking its head from around the corner of the house. And he
that's
took a
yeah.
picture. We heard something over by the roof, and he took a picture of it. And it's a little not distorted. It's just the creature is kind of discombobulated in its position. But there's definitely one up on the roof. And he had the really ingenious idea, this was multiple months ago, to go on Google Earth and just see what that showed. And the day that he did that, it looked like there was an emblem on the house, like an emblem, this ghostly figure of an emblem on the house. So if a UFO were to go over the house and saw that emblem, they would know.
Yeah, they would see it. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
marked
and he
with
went
stuff.
back days later and that was gone. But it was on there. He showed it to me. I saw it. Like
I
he's absolutely brilliant in what he comes up with to try to, dig a little bit deeper into this stuff. And I think Pat and I, it's not that we don't care, that we're not interested, but we've been doing this for decades. This
right.
has just been our life. And I think sometimes we get a little bit remiss about it because we're so
Yeah.
used to it as an everyday thing that it's like, oh yeah, okay.
I,
And
it's called being desensitized.
yeah,
You're just not shocked by any of it anymore. That's I told you about that before. I had an alien. I swear it was a gray, but it was one of the tall ones that had the real long arms. And I pulled in from work one night. It was late, and it was looking at me from around the corner of the garage way out back, and that's where all the trees and stuff are back there, and it's woodsy. And then this week I was sitting in my room, and I was just sitting here, and something kept moving out. It was right outside of my window, and I could see it. It was like black, like a shadow, and it kept looking in my window and then ducking down and then looking in and ducking down, and I looked out. There's nothing there. I'm like, wow, but I could clearly see it moving up and down, like looking and ducking down. I knew it was something that was paranormal. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a ghost, demon, Bigfoot, who knows, ET,
yeah,
but that happened this week to me too. It's so common. You just, like you said, that's what I was going to say about when I said I lost track of my thought earlier. I was talking to that girl this week, and she just, we were just talking about how normal all this is to us, like how it's just
yeah,
so much a part of your life. It's so normal. You just don't like talking about it. When you tell somebody, I know this is going to sound crazy, or I know it seems strange, like to you, it doesn't seem that way, but to other people when it's coming out of your mouth, it sounds really off the
right,
wall,
right. Yeah, it
but to
does.
you,
It
it's like
does.
it's so normal. So,
Then tonight, I had let a couple of the dogs out. They were out there
mhm.
running around and they started barking at a certain area in the backyard. So I went out there with the phone and I'm taking photos. Next thing I know, they must have zapped the phone because I'm taking photos. Everything's going fine. It's a brand new phone. It's working great. And in the middle of taking these photos, all I get is a black screen that says camera, comes up with a message about camera disarmed or camera not working properly, whatever, shuts the whole camera down. And I can't get the camera to come back up. Like
Right.
I'm hitting the button, I'm hitting the button, I'm hitting the button, wouldn't come up. And then like 10 minutes later, all of a sudden it goes back to working perfectly.
Hmm.
I'm like, fine, you little buggers.
What about some paranormal stuff? I keep bugging you about some paranormal stories that aren't related to Bigfoot. I mean, I know they kind of could be because you don't know what's in your house. You don't know. I mean, I used to always think it was all ghosts and spirits and stuff, and now I'm like, wait a minute, these could be cryptids that are
It's like,
cloaking. You know?
yeah, no, but like the ships will cloak. Like the one that I saw when I went out there to, tonight or last night, I went out. Ryan had gotten that amazing footage about, I think he said it was like 6:44 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when him and Pat and I went out the very next night to see if anything was there, nothing was there. So I went in and I laid down and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go check. And it was like 7:45. So I go out there and what I saw wasn't nearly as incredible as what Ryan had found. But there were two of these big white dots and they were dancing back and forth around each other. Like they were in constant movement. And I thought, this will be fantastic. I'll go ahead, I'll get these photos. I'll show Pat. I'll run up and show Ryan because I'm like, Ryan got like the best footage I've ever laid eyes on. I'm thinking, I'll try to get some.
Yeah.
And I would put a camera on it. And as soon as I put the camera on it, it was invisible. You couldn't see anything, like at all. It was absolutely ridiculous. So I went in, I got a different phone. I went out there, tried it. It was the same thing. Now, 2 years ago, I was in the house and Brownie told me to go outside. And I said, why am I going outside? And he said, take something to take a video. And I said, a video of what? And he said, the star that's not a star. So I said, okay. So I took my phone out there and I looked over and I saw this, big white, what appeared to look like a star. And he said, it's not a star. He said, put the camera on it. So I put the camera on it. And when the camera was on it, it was dancing all over the place.
Are you serious?
And you could see the shape of it.
Wow.
And so we knew it wasn't that. And I filmed it, but he kept saying, the star that's not a star. And then he said, keep looking at it and look next to it. And I kept looking at it through the lens, and next to it, it turned into this cigar-shaped thing that was up and down and multicolored.
Yeah. Why do these entities, is their appearance so grotesque?
I don't know. I think it is to us. I'm sure they don't think it is, but
that's what
I have no idea. Yeah.
Just they're just not, they look so creaturey and like something like demonic. You know what I mean?
I tell you, Ryan got this photo, and I don't know if he saved it or not. Ryan, did you save the one with the creature after I killed it, laying on the ground with its mouth open? Did you save that? Yeah, when you get a chance, send it to me. We were outside on the porch, and they couldn't get on the property because the house is bubbled. So when they can't get to you physically, they can project emotion, they can project images, words, whatever. They just can't actually physically touch you. And they did that to my daughter, which I think is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, because number one, as a mother, as a parent, anybody messes with your kids, you're going for blood, like literally. And I'm like, do they not know whose house this is? And so they started projecting things on my daughter and in her mind. And then, she's grabbed her head and she's in pain because of what they're doing. So Ryan took her in the house, and I killed the one. You can blast them with energy just like they can. So the one went down on the ground. I watched it drop. One ran off through the back and took off, and the third one was standing there, and then it was like it evaporated. I don't know if it died. I don't know what it did. It was just not there anymore. But I had physically seen the one go to the ground.
Right.
And so Ryan took a picture over there, and it's kind of a shadowy figure, but you can definitely see where something looks like it's in a puddle on the ground and its mouth is open. But they're just as easily killed as we are, some of them. I mean, I'm not going to talk about all of them because I don't know all of them. But, Wanda and I have killed several.
Still seem to be flesh and blood, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, Wanda and I have killed several of them. I used to go, as a last resort, you can hide in white noise and they can't find you. I'm not going to say every race works like that because I've not met every race.
Right.
But if you literally turn the volume up, music, you want upbeat music, happy music, it doesn't matter what kind, as long as it's not like hardcore rap, that's so angry. There's so much anger and stuff, and not all rap, but some of it. You want something upbeat and happy and loud, and it's like they can't find you in the white noise. And I found that out accidentally. Pat had bought me, before we were living together and married, he had bought me this little speaker, and I would hook it up wireless to my phone and play my music when I was doing my term papers for school, because I had gone back to college. And I noticed that when it was off, it was like ET Central. They were on the roof, they were in the yard, they were all over the place. I turned that on, and it was like they were out there like, where's Waldo? And they couldn't find me. And I thought, this is really cool. So I was talking to my friend Wanda, and I'm like, okay, here, I need you to remote view me. I'm turning this on. I knew I'd seen several ships above, and Pat was there, and I'm like, I'm going to leave this on. I'm going to walk out in the backyard, and then I'm going to shut it off, and we'll see how fast they're on top of me. Because basically when the foot zap people, they're taking their energy, they're throwing it at something, and they're zapping it, and they can hold it. We can do the same thing, maybe not as good as they can, but we're not completely defenseless.
Right.
And
we just don't know it.
Yeah. And so I would go out in the backyard, and Wanda's like, I don't feel good about this. And my saying to her every time we do a job for the Foots has always been, okay, and how confident do we feel
Yeah.
in this mission? And she laughs at me and she's, well, I don't know. And I said, well, we're going to try it. And it worked. I turned it off, and it was like they were all over me. But turn it on, and it's like they can't find you at all. It's absolutely crazy.
Now, what about God's word? What if you turned on like a sermon or, the Bible being read?
Oh, I always think that that's a good thing. But again, some of these that are aggressive, I don't know. I know I've heard of a lot of people that, will plead the name of Jesus, and that helps them.
Yeah.
Does that work every time? I don't know. I would not be able to even comment because I don't know.
Might depend on who's pleading the name of Jesus too. Like if they're actually good people, or if they're
if you believe it with your heart and soul, and you're doing that. There's been different people that have said things have come at them and done that, and they've gone and it's worked. I know other people that have done that, it didn't work at all.
Right. I told you that story about the girl getting thrown around from that. She was supposedly a devout Christian, and it just didn't work when this dog
named. I think it depends on the individual. Does he have God in his heart, or is that someone that just now because they're in trouble is going to call for help?
Isn't it weird how it all kind of leads back to our legends? Like it leads back to like vampirism, how, unless you believe the cross is going to work on the vampire, it doesn't have any power. It's almost like they've secretly hidden all this knowledge in everything we've grown up with in our legends and such, and we just don't realize it, like the silver bullet thing. I still think there's something to the silver bullet. I just have a weird feeling about that.
Well, it could be the metal it's made out of.
Yeah, the purity of it. How much illness that we deal with would you attribute, do you think is caused by them messing with us?
I don't think nearly as much as people think. It's not like they can take a disease and put it in your body or anything like that. The only thing that is harmful from them, and I've watched this over and over and over again, and I know that it has affected me as well, is they radiate. They're at a higher vibrational rate and they're higher energy than we are. And prolonged exposure to that will affect you. You can get anything from tumors to any type of health issues from it. They don't do it deliberately any more than when you walk outside, the energy you radiate, you're not, doing anything either. It's just, that's their body makeup. It's their body chemistry.
Yeah.
Ryan made me popcorn. He makes the best popcorn on the planet.
You tell him no making you popcorn until the podcast is over. I'm gonna
sit here. I'm gonna sit here.
Don't you dare even think about chewing popcorn when we're doing this.
No, I won't. It's gonna sit here so I can smell it wafting.
Oh my God! I won't keep you too long though, so you can eat it.
Yo, you're fine. Caitlin has this popcorn machine, and it actually looks like one of the ones that you would have at the movie theater.
Yeah.
Only it's a little bit smaller. And so Ryan is in charge of all popcorn making in our family. And it's the best. Oh my God. It's phenomenal. I don't even know what he does to it.
You can chew on some of the
No. I'm good. I'm good.
So how do we raise our vibration, Robin? Do you have any ideas?
Believe it or not, yeah. You do it laughing.
Okay.
You do it feeling
my vibration is so high because I'm always laughing.
See, that's me. Laughing. And I say, have your faith, be close to God and right with yourself. But I want people to know that there are people that are atheists. I respect that. That's a personal choice. I respect that. So it's not that because they don't believe in God that they're not going to be able to do this. Of course they can. People that believe in God, that is their faith. That is their choice. That is who they believe in. And that's a beautiful thing. But that doesn't take away from the people that don't believe in that. They can be happy and have a high vibration and a high energy level. You can have that without your faith.
Yeah.
For the people that have that faith, that's a beautiful thing. I'm a Christian. I believe in God. So that's incorporated in my life, but that's my personal choice.
Right.
I also have children that may not have that particular feeling. I mean, where sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. But again, you're going to raise your vibration by being happy, feeling love, laughing, being a good human being. When you are a good human being, you can feel somebody else's happiness because of the act of kindness that you use towards them. That will raise it up. All of those things, all these good feelings. Even if you're having a down day, put on some music that's upbeat and happy. You'd be amazed how much music can help you. And that brings the energy level up. Go outside, take your shoes off, put your feet on the ground, even when it's cold and snowy outside. I've done it in the snow. Pull energy from the ground. Our earth is the biggest battery there is.
I know it is.
And everything is energy based. Yes.
If any of you know anything about this, look up earthing. There's a video on YouTube called The Grounded. Look that up, you guys. That's really, really important to watch. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Robin, but you already know about it.
It really helps. But the higher your energy, and when I say energy, I don't want people to get confused with energy like, oh, I feel like I can run a marathon. That's not what I mean. Right. Your body, I mean, I have a lot of health issues. And so the days of me feeling like I could run a marathon are so far gone. I don't even know what they're like anymore. And so, but what I mean by energy is your body is a battery. It has the base of it is energy. When you raise your vibration, it raises that energy. Just like if you have a car, okay, let's say the battery dies in it, you go out and you jump start the car. You're putting energy into it. It raises that energy in the battery. It doesn't mean the car's driving around your driveway 90 miles an hour. It just means there's now in that battery case, there's a higher energy. And this is the same thing. And same thing with the vibration. You can be bedridden and raise your energy and vibrational pull and get to that point. And that's what does it.
Can you send energy to yourself? Like, how you always tell me to
I do. Yeah. That's when you're going to go out, put your feet on the ground. If it's too much snow and it's too cold or whatever, then go to anything that's just above the ground, like a slab of cement or something, where the only thing under that slab is earth. Yeah. And you visualize in your mind that you're pulling the energy from the ground up through the bottom of your feet and up into your body, and until it fills your entire body. People think it's funny when I tell them that until they try it. And when they do
I've done it. Yeah,
when they do it correctly, it's a whole new ball game. My son Daniel, he was studying for a test, and he had contacted myself, and I was talking to him, and he's like, he's my stepson. I call him my son because he's my stepson, and I absolutely adore him. He is just an incredible human being. I'm so proud of him. And so I told him, he said he was tired. He's like, can you give me some energy? I've got to do this study and I've got to pass this test. So I pushed energy into him and I said, I want you to go out and do this. And he did it. And he said, you know what? I was energized for 2 days between what you pushed into me and what I pulled from the ground. He said, I was ready to go for 2 days.
I've done it. I take energy from Robin all the time.
Yep.
I don't take it. You send it to me. I actually don't take it from you. Yeah.
How is the baby in Tessa feeling?
I think I know she got better.
More yet tonight. Yeah. I pulled a lot of stuff out of her lungs and her throat, and there seemed to be a lot of mucus at the upper part of her throat.
Yep, that's exactly where it is, and she wasn't coughing near as much.
Yeah, I pulled a ton of it out of there. Her lungs didn't look overly bad. The bottom of the lungs is where I saw. Okay. Like it had settled at the bottom. So anyway, I pulled that out. And so, yeah, it works. And you're doing better. So it helps.
Oh, yeah, I always do better after I contact you. Always. And it usually takes me a few minutes. I think it travels slow, or it either has to get through my blockheadedness. Like it has to get through those barriers of mine, know, because I put
as long as it works.
It does. It always does. I'm always like, it's funny because I'll be like, Robin, I need healing. And then I'll start like bouncing around. And then you're like, are you feeling better? I'm like, well, yeah, I guess I'm moving a couch right now.
I know. I'm like, excuse me, I'm feeling like you're dying and you're out there moving a couch. Hey, as long as it works,
Well,
as
I
long
like
as
to
it
be a
works.
drama queen. I mean,
That's
I like to
right.
milk the attention and all this stuff, you
Exactly.
know?
Well, and who in the world can't use a little extra boost now and then? Seriously. I mean,
I
it's not
know.
like, you're doing a straight drug. It's just
Yeah.
regular energy coming at you. So it
My
does.
piano heals me too. There's something about that piano when I Tristan makes fun of me because if I'm as I'm, playing the piano, which I just love to play, I just learned that
The
Adele song.
music puts energy into your soul. It
Is that
really,
what it is?
I believe that
I
because
do
I
too, because
know
you can feel it.
I can be just so lethargic because I do get chronic fatigue syndrome and I will be
Mhm.
so lethargic and I'm like, I just feel like I'm
I have
overwhelmed
that
at the
too.
thought of even walking from one point to the other. And
Yeah.
then I'll turn music on and it just like it feeds my soul. I have more
Oh,
energy. I've got a pep to my step and I'm like, I can get so much more done now, you know.
I swear to
But
God, I played the piano in another life. I
you
can
probably
sit there and
did. I
I
can
close
picture
my
you like
eyes.
in the old West and you're sitting there playing the piano
I
in
close
the
my eyes and
saloons.
play. And Tristan's always like, "Mom, how do you play the piano with your eyes closed?" I don't know. I'm doing it. I'll sit there and it's almost like it hypnotizes me.
Yeah.
And I'll sit there and I'm real hypnotic and I'll play, but I just learned that Adele song Easy on Me, which I love playing it. And I'm learning Hans Zimmer, it's called Time. It's one of my favorite pieces
Yeah.
in the world. But I mean, this stuff is just, it's something about the piano that just absolutely, it's just healing to me, you
Yeah.
know? But
It is.
that and
Music is just amazing. And, like you said, it's this what will bring you down is the music. And I don't want me to pick on rap because there's some rap that I actually
mm,
think is really
yeah,
uplifting and has great words and great messages in it. But some of it, is really violent and very
mm,
dark. And a lot of regular music is as well. And that will bring your energy level down and bottom it out just immediately, you
can't
know.
stand listening to rap. And not all rap, like you said, there are some that, good songs that are okay, but
Yeah.
like most of it's very angry,
It
very
is. It
like
is. And that
impartial towards
has
one
an yeah,
sex,
that
like
has an
male or female.
impact.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
really does. It really has
I
an
was
impact.
Something came on TV. I was watching TV the other day. I was watching, well, it's always YouTube stuff. I was always, looking, I'm always doing research and this rap song came on that they have these things where these random artists that are popping up like new ones that they'll put a song up there and this guy was singing, he's just saying all this horrible stuff about women and I was like, good God. I just
Yeah.
turned it. I was like, this is the problem. Like this stuff is putting all this crap into our kids' heads and they're growing up like men hating women and women hating men and I'm just like,
Yeah,
God, they're
it's
just,
like yeah,
it's
it's
so
just
programming, you
it is.
know?
It is. And people listen to it and I respect that that's their choice that, they enjoy that or whatever. But, there's a cost to everything and when you listen to that kind of stuff, it does change the psyche, I think.
Hmm.
I'm not saying people shouldn't listen to it. Obviously, people love it. It's a $1 trillion industry and they get paid a
Well,
lot of money for what they're doing. It's not my cup of tea, but I respect everybody else's choice, to whatever
hmm.
they want. But it does, the type of music you listen to really does play into your life
Yeah,
and the kind of energy that goes into you from listening to it,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. I love Peter Buka and there's a Spanish guy too. He's a cello player. I have a real thing about the cello. And then there's the Brooklyn duo are really incredible. They both,
Yeah.
it's a husband and wife team. She plays the piano and he plays the cello. And they do a lot of cover songs and stuff. Oh my God, is it gorgeous stuff? I
Yeah,
mean,
I
it's
like
just
all
amazing.
I am one that I like a wide variety of music. I'm not just set, on
Me
one,
too.
but
Yeah,
I like things that are positive.
yeah. I know
I
what you
don't
mean.
mind things that tell a story that might be a little bit sad, but when you get into the dark stuff, I don't have time in my life for it. I can't because I'm too ultra sensitive and intuitive.
Yep, me
So I
too.
can't, it's like there's a lot of shows that come on that are scary movies or whatever, and I have people really enjoy them, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with
Hmm.
it. But in my case, I can't. If
You
I
can
listen to
feel how
things,
it drags you down. I'm the same way.
yeah,
It
but
drags
the
you
other
down.
thing is when you watch certain things, especially when it has to do with paranormal things, even if it's not even a real it's not a documentary. It's just, it's fictional.
Mm-hmm.
Those type of beings look for that. They can feel it. People don't believe me, but it's so true. My daughter watched a movie the other day and she's like, I swear this, something is like now or not following me, but
Right.
something came
Portals.
at me.
Yeah.
It came at me. And once they see that you have an interest in that kind of creature will show up.
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't happen every time. It is very possible. And it's like when I go to bed at night, my TV's on, I have sitcoms on and they play all
Mm-hmm.
night long. I do that for a reason.
Yeah.
If I don't have something on, I can hear everything talking to me all night long. Not that I can't block it, but I'm more tired from blocking it in the morning than if I just turn the TV on and I don't pay attention to them. The other thing is if I even have a somber movie and, not something funny, then things come at me in my sleep.
Right.
When I play the sitcoms or something that's joyous or whatever, I don't have that issue.
Yeah.
Once in a while I still get attacked, but very rarely when I do that. So, I'm always the one that before I go to bed, and thank God Pat tolerates me. He's great about it. He never complains that I have the TV on. Once in a while, he'll say, babe, can you turn it down a little bit? But he doesn't even say
Mm-hmm.
that very often.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to. I literally have to. When we went to do the conference in Nebraska, my friend her and Kenny Collins put out, her name is Harriet McFeely, one of the sweetest, kindest women you know. And Kenny Collins, they did the conference. Both of them are just tremendous. And she was very gracious and let us stay at her house because her downstairs is apartment. So
Mm-hmm.
Pat and I stayed in one room. Igor stayed in another room. And we had a kitchen, a dining room, a living room, a family room, a bathroom. It was beautiful. So we stayed down there, but there was no TV in there. And
Oh boy.
stuff woke me up all night
Oh
long. And it
yeah.
wasn't anybody's fault, and I
That's
had
me,
brought my
Robin. I
tablet.
I feel the same thing exactly.
Yep. So I would take
Exactly.
my,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd take my tablet and put on Hulu or something and let it play all night long. Something has to be going on. Otherwise, there's just absolutely no way. And part of it too is, I was a mom. I had 9 children.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm used to listening to see if there's a child awake all
Yeah.
night long. So like my ears are like hyper tuned for it. And just because the kids are grown up and have their own lives and their own families doesn't mean that I can just flip that switch off.
Yeah, your instinct is still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like I'll hear the cats or I'll hear the bird or I'll hear the tortoise. The dogs are pretty much down for the count after a certain time, unless something's going on outside. The other night we have this 1 foot, and I don't know why he does it. He taps on the window. And
Mm-hmm.
he did it for the longest time. Every night at the same time, he'd tap, 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 tap.
Hmm.
And I'd wake up and what do you want? Nothing. I'm looking. And I said, okay, go ahead and look away, go crazy.
Just stop
And the
freaking
cats and the
tapping on our
dog, yeah,
window.
whatever. The cats and the dogs would be afraid to go near the window. They would all go under the bed when he was tapping. And then a little while later, he'd start tapping again and then he'd wander off. Well, Pat, one night, he woke Pat up and Pat's like, will you please stop? I'm tired. And he after that, he wouldn't tap anymore. And I was so mad at Pat. I was like, why would you do that? So he
Yeah.
told him that he could come back. He wasn't in trouble. He was just keeping him awake and he had to work the next day. So
Right.
he's back and he was tapping the other night and he woke Pat up again. And Pat's like, you're okay. You can stay. You're not in
Just
any
tell him that
trouble.
there's certain nights you just can't tap because we need
Yeah.
sleep, you know?
They don't, he doesn't knock. It's just a light tap, 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 tap,
Yeah.
tap, 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 but, yeah, they do
That's
their
what
thing, their trip. I'm telling you, Ryan got another photo, which was really great. He was outside and he took a picture of the woods across the street and you could see a Bigfoot in shadow form. It looked like a man.
that's the one I'm talking about. That's
Yeah,
the one that
that's one Pat
Pat sent
posted. Yeah.
me.
I have
Yeah.
another one almost exactly like it that I took in the backyard. I put a game camera back there and I haven't done one of those in, oh my gosh, since probably 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Because when somebody wanted me to do it, so I went out, I bought a game camera and I put it out there and I thought, well, we'll see what they do. And what they did was bring as many sticks as they could find and bury it. I went out there the next day and it was completely buried. You couldn't even see it.
They're
So
horrible.
I unburied it and I put it out again. And the next day went out there and it was buried again. and I checked the SD card on it, and it looks like I got a snapshot of the side of a breast of a female and then a finger. So I did get those, but that was it. But they
Send
just
that
kept
to me too. I want all the pictures and videos.
I gotta find those. They're somewhere in my flash drives. I gotta find those, but it was just like a black and white outline of it, and they just kept burying it, or they'd turn it upside down, and I'm like, forget it. This is such a waste of time.
They don't tolerate it.
Yeah. So, but they didn't break it, which was nice. So I was here, and somebody had lent me a game camera because I was working to try to catch some feral dogs. And I brought the game camera home, and I thought, I'm going to stick it out just for, giggles. We'll see what happens. And and I'll send you this photo. I know where this one is. And it's just like a shadow figure of him out there, teetering around in the backyard. So, I mean, I got that, but then I never got another one. And then tonight when he shut my camera off, I was so mad. So I knew somebody was out there because of the dogs. I mean, the dogs are a dead giveaway. And I think he was on the side because of the property, because when I was taking the back one, it was fine. It was click, 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 no problem. I went to go take the side, and the whole camera just blanked out. It says camera not available, camera not working, or whatever it was. And it was not going to kick back up. It took almost, 10 minutes before it worked again. And I'm not having any more problems. This phone that I have, I've only had a couple days. It works beautifully. So there was no reason. There's no reason for that at all. I mean, it was just crazy. But Pat went outside, I think it was last night or the night before, and he went to go let the dogs out one more time. And we have one that is just, his world is about, I'll wait till mom and dad isn't looking. I'll climb over the fence, which is 5 foot tall, and I'll just take off and run around the house in circles, and I'll run around to the front porch to be let in. That's his world. He thinks that's the greatest thing in the world. So when you let him out before you go to bed, you have to stand out there and watch him, because if you're watching him, then he won't do it. So he was out there, and he said the dogs ran over to the one side, and he said he heard, it wasn't a growl, it was like a hiss. It was like 7-8 feet off the ground going. I said, did it sound like a snake? And he said, no, it was definitely not a snake.
Why don't you put like a TV out there for them to watch? Like, there, that one woman. Remember that one woman, the older woman that had him at her house, that they lived around her, and they were with her all the time, but she had a TV and they loved SpongeBob. They said,
you know what?
Every night the whole forest would light up with their eyes.
But that's what they liked at my house. When I was in Michigan and I lived on this one property, they would go, all my kids had TVs in their room, and they all had cable. And then, of course, I had one in the front room, and they would go outside. They'd be like across the room where the dining area was, and you could see the TV from there. And they would go and stand and watch it. And I would put SpongeBob on it, and I'd put cartoons on it. I think it was the colors.
Yeah.
And because it's really got an upbeat energy to it. I think that's what they were drawn to. But the kids would watch TV in their room. And there was on more than one occasion, Josh and Caleb came and got me and said, we looked outside, and there was 2 things that were out there sitting like Indian style. Like they were watching into, I don't know, it's a movie theater or what, but they were like sitting out there Indian style, looking in the window at the TV.
Right. They love it.
They love it. They have the best time. They don't know what they're really watching, I don't think, but they sure have a good time. But there's all this colors and high energy. And
again, put Sesame Street on for maybe they'll learn our language.
Elmo. My granddaughter's obsessed with Elmo's Dance World, so I'm sure they've watched a lot of Elmo.
Yeah, but, put some learning things on for. Maybe they could learn,
if they learn any more, we're all in trouble. I mean,
I know. But that, that woman, she had, she lived out really far out on a farm, and she had a garden for them. They would come in and garden, and this one man hunted her down, and he met him. He walked out of the house the one day. She was in there with the females, the younger ones, and he walked out, and he came face to face with the male, and he said it was not friendly. But I mean, it didn't hurt him because she talked to it in clicking sounds, and she said she would put a television out on the porch every night, like clockwork, firewood just lit up with their eyes watching it.
Christmas came every year, and I haven't done it here. Like I have put like the lights on the porch, and they like that. And my son Caleb this year put this blow up giant Christmas tree out there and a polar bear blow up thing, and they really like that. But when I was in Michigan, on this one property, I would, for Christmas, I took a boombox out there and played Christmas music. I'd put it out by the woods,
Oh,
and they loved it. And I would bring out lights and toys, and they had their own toys out there. It started out really simply with a little bucket, and
yeah.
my daughter Caitlin at that time, she would get all kinds of little toys and stuff and put them in the bucket, and we put a blanket out, and we put them out in the woods, and
Mm-hmm.
the bucket stayed, but the toys left.
Yeah.
And the blanket, they would roll the blanket up. They're afraid to take it. And so
Or
it was
why?
like, I don't know, that was in the summertime. And then we had, of course, had Christmas. And then after Christmas, we went into the spring, and we had this slab that had concrete blocks cemented to it. It used to be a lean-to for cattle from the people that were there before. And it was getting very bad. I wanted it pulled down. So we had pulled it down. So all that was left was a slab and these concrete blocks that were cemented to it. We had tried crowbars, hammers, everything. We could not get these concrete blocks off this slab.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a bonfire pit, and the Bigfoots loved it. They were in that bonfire pit all the time. And they would go, the woods was literally like maybe 15 to 20 feet from the bonfire pit, if that. And we would do the bonfires, and the whole woods would be lit up with eye shine. They loved it.
That's
And
fun.
so we got up one day, and they had pulled off, because we were out there talking about it. They saw us trying to get them off. We couldn't get them off. I got up the next day, and they had pulled every one of those concrete cement blocks off the foundation. I mean, we couldn't do it, but they did it. And they put it in a circle, so they were all touching in a circle. And then in the middle of the circle, that movie had been out, How to Train Your Dragon, and McDonald's had given out these McDonald toys, and one of them was the dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And Caitlin had put that in the bucket of toys, and they took these cinder blocks that they pulled up off the cement slab, and they put the cinder blocks in a circle that was very tight, and then they put the dragon in the middle of it.
Oh my gosh.
And
Like the
gifted it.
fire.
Yeah.
Like the fireplace.
Yeah, and gifted it back. It was pretty funny.
Gosh.
But we
Now,
had
you see,
my
this
my
is what
son-
intrigues me about you, Robin. I
huh?
don't know if anybody else has ever known that, but there's been a couple stories you've told different times, and you always tell the same story. It doesn't change.
Yeah, because I
And
can't
that's a
change
key
the truth.
factor. Yeah, that's a key factor. How fluently somebody, rattles off their recounts their story.
And it's funny you say that, because I've been told that. I've had other people tell me the story always stays the same, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it stays the same because I can't change the truth.
But how fluidly you tell it too. Like that's when you can feel the truth. You can hear it. You can hear it when somebody's telling you
that. Yeah.
something. Yeah.
I mean,
it's
I
true.
know, like, I listen to some of the things that I talk about on a podcast. I think people are just going to think I'm nuts. Really.
No.
And
I know some of it sounds really far-fetched, but it's still
it
the
does.
truth.
I mean, it sounds far-fetched to me, and I live it. But
it does to me too when I talk about the stuff I talk about,
Yeah. And
but I'm like, it's what happened.
Yeah, it's exactly it. And I did the conference in Russia, in Siberia, and I came back, and I didn't talk about anything paranormal there. It was all flesh and blood stuff. And, I came back, and there was a few people that really slandered me because they couldn't believe I had that much contact. And it didn't upset me. It didn't hurt my feelings, because while they're complaining and bitching that I'm not, that I'm not legitimate, I'm out in the woods with the Bigfoot. So, whatever, it's like, suck it. I'm out there with the foots. So I didn't do any conferences for a very long time, and I didn't do any podcasts or anything. I only started doing it because the Bigfoots wanted me to. They want people to know the truth about them. And I was like, okay, as long as you're okay with it, I will. So when I get asked to do podcasts, I get their approval. Like, this is their information, not mine.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the messenger. It's their story. So if they tell me it's fine to talk, I do. But I did one conference in Georgia, in Clayton, Georgia, and I'm scheduled to do it again the 16th, I believe it is, of August, or April, I'm sorry. And I was talking, and Mike Carroll, who's become a very good friend, and I absolutely adore him, he had asked that, he had contacted me, and I didn't know him at the time. He said, can I interview you after you speak? And I'm like, yeah. And I was supposed to speak at 2 different times. So I did the first one, and it was like, I talked about flesh and blood with a little bit of paranormal because I wasn't quite certain how people would take it. And it was received relatively well. There's like 300 or 400 people there. So I was supposed to do it again that night, and it was a very small crowd that night. Most everybody had gone home, and Mike was still there. And I started to talk, and I know the exact second they hijacked my brain, because all of a sudden it's like diarrhea of the mouth, and it's all paranormal. And in my head, I'm talking to them while this is coming out of my mouth. I don't even know what's coming out of my mouth at this point. And I'm like, you guys have to stop. People can't know this much information about you. And they're like, no, but they need to. And I'm like, you need to stop. Just get out of my head. Quit making me say this stuff. And they finally backed off. And I mean, I was getting dizzy while I'm standing there. I don't even know what's coming out. And Mike Carroll's sitting there with this giant grin on his face. And we get done, and he said, I knew the second they took over. He said, that was not even you. And I said, I know. It's their information.
Great. Did he ever record that?
I don't think he recorded it. I mean, he knew about it.
You need to record some of these.
Yeah.
When you're
at these conferences. It was pretty funny. But it's their story. And if, I get asked to do different podcasts, and if they don't want me on that show, then I don't go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about the respect, and it comes down to respect. It really and truly does. It's their story, not mine. I can't change it. I mean, I wouldn't even try to. And there, after I did the one in Russia, and I had people that were very supportive. I had a couple that weren't, whatever,
You're always going to have that.
Yeah. Believe what you want. I'll go out and play with the Bigfoots, and you can sit and spin because you've got nothing. I know how some of this stuff sounds. I know it sounds crazy. And I used to, it wasn't that I got upset if people didn't believe me, because that's never happened. I just figured that was fine. I'm one that always believes in everybody has their own opinion, and it's okay. They're entitled to it.
Yeah.
But I got to the point where as all these things would happen, and it was all bottled up, like I had my inner circle that knew about it. I had friends that came over and experienced things at my house, so they knew about it. But I mean, as far as like putting it out there and doing all the podcasts and stuff, I just really didn't, because I was like, nobody's going to believe me anyway. And then I think I got to the point where I was doing so much work for them and with them, and they were teaching me so much. And I just got to the point where it was like, I just don't care anymore. I would never be unkind to anybody, even if they had different views. I got to the point where I look at it this way. When people are ready, when their energy and vibration is up high enough where it opens their mind up to the possibilities, then they'll know. If they're not ready and their mind is still closed, they're not going to believe anything I have to say. And I respect that completely. That's perfectly fine, because obviously they're not ready for the truth.
Yeah.
I don't try to persuade anybody. It's not my job to make anybody, nor do I want to make anybody believe anything they don't want to believe. The only thing I can do is share my experiences, share what I've learned, and let everybody make their own decision. And I respect that.
True.
True.
Hey guys, we'll be right back after a real short break. Hi everyone. If you're new to podcasting or interested in starting a new podcast, let me tell you a little bit about Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. And when hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. So for the brand new podcaster, that is a plus. So check it out. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm. That's F as in Frank, M as in Mary, to get started.
Tonight, Pat, we were talking about a situation about somebody that was, doing research and going into areas, and they just really thought they, had the world by the ass because they were getting all this activity. And I'm like, I was telling Pat about it. I said, they don't want him there. They put markers all over. They don't want him there, but he's there anyway, because he looks at it that it's just a sign that they're there. And I'm really terribly worried about his safety there. And Pat was talking to the Foots there, and they were just, highly pissed and aggressive and everything else. It's
you
just,
know.
people don't listen. And I get a lot of people that when I talk to them, I'm all for helping people and suggesting ways if they want to have interaction or whatever. But I really stress to people, so many people that contact me don't care if they have positive interaction or negative interaction. They just want something. They just want that moment where they can get a visual or they can interact or something. And they don't care how
Mhm.
they go about it and do it. And I stress to everybody over and over again, I sound like a broken record. You don't want the negative, you want the positive. And they're like, well, yeah, but if I piss them off, then I'm at least going to get contact. You
Yeah,
don't want it that way, because that can not only end your life, but you're not going to have a good experience. You're not going to have continuing contact. You're blowing it for the future.
right. That's
And,
true.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and you always want the positive reaction. You don't want the negative, and people don't want to listen.
Yeah. I know they just
That's
want
that's the sad part.
yeah,
If
that
you're going to get interaction, build something that's solid, build something that's good.
yeah, I know. Leave them some apples first.
Yeah,
Bribe
I
them
mean,
with a bag of apples.
well, we had a friend of ours, and all they want are pears. They bug him all the
Yeah.
time. That clan is so obsessed with pears, and they kept
You should plant
mentioning,
some pear trees for them and apple trees and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
What they kept mentioning though? Or keep
Well,
mentioning?
the one that in one of the places in Michigan, one of the places that I lived at, a friend of mine had 40 acres, and I know they were there because I had seen them on her property. In fact, her and her husband were out in the yard talking. I pulled into their driveway and I saw one standing behind her. And I was like, oh my God. I was like terrified. I was trying to figure out how to get her before, because it was that close to her, it could have grabbed her.
Well, was
And
it a bad
it
one or a good
no, it
one?
was
Okay.
no, it was nice. It was just I didn't
Oh,
want to frighten her. But she had this little mini apple orchard right on the side of their house, and there was probably 8 trees there. And every year they just got loaded with apples. And her daughter said to me one time, I said, wow, that's great. You guys have all these apples. She says, well, it's stupid because we never get any. And I said, what do you mean? She said, I don't know. Somebody steals our apples every year. She said, the trees will be ready to be picked. And she said, we might get a few off of it, but that's it. She said, we'll go out one day and every single apple's gone.
that is terrible. They're
You
such
know?
thieves.
Oh, yeah. And then she said she didn't
It's
realize they
all.
had Bigfoots there.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about it because it was wintertime, and I found footprints in the snow at their property. And then I followed the footprints and went down to this little stream that you had to cross, and it crossed there and it went into this big thicket of bushes.
Mm-hmm.
So I was telling them, I know darn well that's what it is.
It's their
And then,
portal.
yeah, and the daughter said that she was home alone one time. She was 13 at the time, and her parents had just ran into town. I mean, in town was literally a mile and a half. And it was just this little tiny 1-horse town, where you have a gas station, a family owned grocery store, and a restaurant, and a
Don't
pizza
forget the
place,
liquor store,
and the liquor store. That's the whole
Yeah.
town.
Yeah, the bar
And
or something.
yep. And so she was home by herself, and she was watching TV, and she looked over, and there was a window on the side of the house where the orchard was, and there was one looking in the window at her.
Oh my God.
Scared the Jesus out of that poor
Oh, I
child. Oh, she
bet.
was terrified. But they had 44 or 40 acres, and her son went back to the back. A lot of it they had rented out to be farmed. It
Mm-hmm.
was leased out, but then there was this one little part that had a bunch of pine trees and bushes and stuff, and it had a low spot that would pull water, like a little tiny pond that was about the size of a garage.
Mm-hmm.
And her son would go out there because the deer would come in to get the corn from the cornfield, and he would go back there and deer hunt.
Right.
And he was deer hunting, and he saw one back there, scared him. It never tried to hurt him. I went
Yes.
out there. That was the place where I went out one night, and then they took me through the portal to where they lived at.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that. That was
Yeah.
cool. That's
So I
awesome.
mean,
Where was that at?
yeah,
What state was that in?
Michigan,
Okay.
Michigan.
Figures.
Yeah.
All the good
There's
stuff
just,
happens in Michigan.
yeah. Well, see, you're gonna get to experience it.
I know.
I
I
can't
know.
wait. I'm so excited. There's so many things out there, I guess, that people just don't realize is there. And when your mind is closed, you can go out in the world and do your daily thing, and it's almost like you're blind to it.
Yeah.
But once that mind is open, you look at things differently and you see things that you never realized were there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like the blinders are off. It's like I have a picture of this tree, and it was just a random picture I took. I never expected anything in it. And in the leaves of the tree is this face. And I kid you not, my brother-in-law's a deacon of a church.
You
And I
sent it to
asked,
me.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
said to him, what does this look like? And he said, that's the face of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like, where did you take this photo? I said, at my house.
Hmm.
Like, I always feel protected here, you know?
Yeah.
But he didn't even hesitate when he looked at it. I said, Rob, what do you see when you see this picture? And he said, that's the face of Jesus Christ in a tree.
Yeah. It
I said,
does. It
yeah, I
looks
know.
just, it does look like it. I saw it.
Yeah, and
It
it's
is
crystal
amazing.
clear. There's no way to, it's not fuzzy, it's not distorted. It is crystal clear.
It's just, I know, and it seems like the more, once your mind is open, like it just becomes more and
Yeah.
more and more open. Like it's just like you're
Oh,
just
yeah.
constantly being exposed and shown more and more stuff. And it's just, it's crazy how much is going on. And,
Yeah.
you know, I get overwhelmed with it sometimes. Sometimes I just sit there and I shake my head and I'm like, this is just, it's impossible, but it's not, you
Yeah.
know,
It's
but it,
like, and, you know, this stuff happens on a daily basis here.
yeah.
And as much as it still happens, every time is almost like the first time because you just can't believe another thing happened. And,
Something
you know, like I
new.
said,
Yeah.
yeah. And then Ryan's here now, and he's experiencing all these. Caitlin, my daughter, is experiencing all these things. And I have to give the guy credit. You know, he walked into a situation and he believed in the paranormal before he got here. He had contact with ETs before he got here, not for long periods of time, but he had, and it was a very profound experience. But he got here, and I almost feel like while he was open, you know, and but he really got a paranormal rush. Like
Mm-hmm.
the night he got here, driving down the road, he saw Bigfoot.
Yeah.
You know, and then he got here and it was like all of these things going at one time, and it was like just a paranormal massacre of all of these things. So like even though he believed these things, now he was seeing these
Yeah.
things, and it was almost like just an overwhelming amount for him.
I can't
But
imagine.
I got to give the guy credit. I love this boy, and I call him a boy. He's a grown man. I'm just, you know, it's a
I
mom
know. I do
thing.
that too. Yep. It's a
But
mom thing.
it is. But he's taken it like a champ. You know, Caitlin has been
Yeah.
around it her whole life. She's a little bit more relaxed. She's more like, yeah, whatever. You know, she grew up in this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, she would go outside and play her clarinet, and the Foots would walk, you know, all around the property listening to her, and she'd see him.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what I'm
so
gonna do. I'm gonna be playing the violin for him and the piano.
they love it. Play music for them. They love it.
I'm
They
like, come on,
absolutely
Robin.
love it. Yep. We'll get out there. You can play the music. I used to be
Yeah.
able to sing good. I'll sing again, but maybe I don't know if it sounds good or
I know.
not.
I did too. My voice is getting shot. I
Ugh,
can't. I
I
don't know what's
know.
going on with my voice. I'm like, I can't even hit. I can't even scream normally
Mm.
anymore. Like it's just stripped. You know.
Oh,
Sounds terrible.
yeah, me too. My pipes are definitely out of shape.
Yeah. We need to do voice lessons.
Yeah.
Take some voice.
Well, you know,
I
I
have a
used to
thing
sing.
for it. Do you want me to send it to you? I've got a link. It'll
Oh yeah, it'd
take
be
you
fun.
into. It's a whole thing I ordered for Tristan, 2 years ago. It's a literal program for voice lessons.
Well, I used to sing professionally.
Yeah, I'll
I did.
send it to you. Maybe it'll
Yeah,
help.
I did it for years, and I really enjoyed it. It didn't bother me to sing in front of thousands of people if they were strangers. I don't like singing in front of people I know. That's
Mm-hmm.
my thing. But I really
Yeah, I'm the
enjoyed
same
it.
way. Yeah, I'm the
I
same way.
recorded, yeah, I recorded a couple CDs and they were well received. But I was a single mom with small children. And when you have singles, you have to go out and promote it and yourself. And I
Yeah,
was unwilling to be away from my kids.
I don't blame you.
So, you know, it
Yeah,
is what it is. Had a lot of fun, made good money,
yeah,
but I haven't sang in
yeah,
years. Like I do around here. Like if I'm doing something in the house and the house is empty and nobody's here, I cut loose. I'll sing, you know, as loud as I can, and the bird
me
loves it. Oh
too.
my gosh, our cockatiel loves it. But I don't like singing in front of people I know. People I don't know, I could care
Yeah.
less because I'm not going to see them again.
Same way. I don't mind, strangers or people I don't know, but anybody I do know, I get really, even with my podcast, I don't like to tell people I know as much about it, but other people that
Yeah.
know it's great. I'm fine with that. I mean, I do tell some people that I know, but I'm just more self-conscious about it.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
yeah. Yep, I like to sing too. At least I did. I don't know. Lately I'm questioning my voice box here.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
gotta
think
get
as we get
checked.
older, it just sounds more raspy.
Yeah.
It drives me
Yeah.
crazy. But we get all
Yeah.
kinds of activity. Like we have the too many pigs go out in a pen in the backyard. And lately, something keeps unlocking the pen. Every time I turn around, the pen's unlocked and they're loose.
Yeah.
So now I've got this leash that I take out there and I just tie the door shut. So even if it gets unlocked, they can't get out. But the thing is, the handle to let them out is probably 4.5 feet off the ground. And these are mini pigs. They can't get up there to get it.
Yeah.
And it has to be slidden up and put up and then opened. I
Hmm.
mean, it's like, this is ridiculous, guys. Come on. Work with me a little bit, or I'll
You
go
need
out
to
and
put out some rules in Bigfoot language.
yeah, I've told them before, like, this is what you're allowed to do. This isn't what you're allowed to
Yeah.
do. And, whether or not they follow it is anybody's
Well,
guess.
if your
But
dogs aren't getting killed and your pigs aren't getting killed and you don't have cattle disappearing and stuff, I think you're doing pretty good.
yeah, I've been really, really
So,
fortunate. There is these people, we lived on 10 acres and behind us was a cattle farm. And the man that owned it was incredibly sweet,
mm-hmm.
very, very sweet. And his daughter was roughly my age and went to school, and she was the mother of a very good friend of my daughter's. And we were talking one day, and I used to find cow bones all over in my woods. Like, just randomly, I would find a cow bone,
Mm-hmm.
or I'd find one in the backyard, and I'm like, I have no cows. Like, what the hell?
Just
And
be
I'm
glad they're
thinking,
not human bones.
yeah. And so I was
Oh
talking to
God.
her one day, and she said, oh, she had called me. She said, I wanted you to know my dad saw a huge male cougar going into your woods.
Oh geez.
It was over by the cows, and it walked, and it literally jumped over the fence between their property and mine. And dad wanted you to know so you could be careful because it went in the back of your woods.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, okay, I really appreciate it. She said, yeah. She said, we got all kinds of stuff lately. She said, and those coyotes are terrible. And I said, I haven't noticed any of the coyotes. And she said, well, if a cow dies, she said, dad takes the bulldozer and buries them back it's all the way to the back, which is over by where your place is at on their property, but it's by the fence line. And I said, oh, okay. And she said, and you know what? She said, he can dig that hole, 10 foot deep, put that cow in there. And he said, bury it all up. And the next morning he'll go out there and the coyotes have undug it and dragged it off. Now you tell me, how many coyotes does it take to move, 1,000-pound heifer? I
That's
mean,
crazy.
seriously, no drag marks, no nothing. It was the
Yeah,
foot. The foot's dig it up
yeah.
and take. And I'm like, well, I find all the bones for the cows in my woods. Like, I have enough bones over there. I could build one.
I wonder how long something can sit that they can eat without getting food poisoning.
I have no idea.
You
I
know?
really and truly, yeah, I
I've always
really
wondered
and
that with
truly,
roadkill. Like, why don't these animals or entities or whatever, why don't they get sick from some of this stuff?
yeah,
You know?
yeah,
They
it's crazy.
supposedly would do.
I really and truly don't know.
That's weird.
Yeah, it
We
is very bizarre. But I
we
had
need
said to her, one day I said, "Are you missing any cows?" And she said, "Well, why we're missing cows?" And I said, "Because I'm finding all the,
yeah.
like, all the bones are in my house. If you ever need them for a puzzle, I got them for you."
I think that's hilarious. It's terrible, but it's just,
Yeah,
kind of par for the course for these things, but
yeah,
still,
yeah. It's crazy.
I don't know. I'm just kind of some of the stuff about them is just kind of odd. Yeah.
What I say I talk about is I've learned it from the foots or I've experienced it. That may not be the same experience that another person has. So there may be a different outcome on what they believe. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, all I can do is share my experiences, share what I've learned, and people can take away from it what they wish.
I've always wondered if we even go with a collective, like maybe we all belong with a collective that
We're
different
supposed to.
collective,
There's supposed to be a collective.
Yeah.
That's why it works so well for the Bigfoots, is they work under the law of Ra, which is the law of one.
Right.
So that everything goes into that collective. We're supposed to be doing the same thing. However, our people are too divided. We're not working for the collective. We're actually trying to just, our people, the only thing they care about is themselves. And this is why we're failing.
Well, that's been engineered to separate us in any way they can.
It has.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I believe that. But the truth of the matter is we are not working as one. We are not working as the law of Ra. We are not working as the collective. And that's why we are failing as a species. That's why our world is failing.
It's weakening everybody. It'd be like a family dividing a family. It would weaken your family.
Right.
I believe that the government, what they've done with the families is the same thing, how they've made it so kids think they turn 18, they leave home, they go out in the world, they, get their own little family going, and everybody's separated. Instead of acting as a tribe and sticking together and being stronger, I think our government has engineered it so everybody believes they're supposed to grow up and leave home and be out on their own.
Yeah, and then you get into the politics, which I won't do because I refuse to fight about politics with anybody. Neither. But you get into our government, and everything is subdivided.
Yeah,
they need to dismantle the government, have one government for the people, not this section, this section, this section, this section, and we're all going to fight. We're all going to lie. And we're all going to manipulate, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It clearly doesn't work. We're in worse shape than we've ever been in our lives. And there's no unity. There's no collective. There's nothing. It's very, very sad to me.
It's working for the ones that are engineering it,
But I believe that our country and our people are better than this.
Yeah,
Not only do we deserve better than this, but we are better than this. But I think nobody knows how to get it to work as the collective. And I don't have the answers. I clearly don't. But I mean, they need to work more as a collective, because in the Constitution, the we the people, there is no we the people. The only thing that happens now is I the people. And we've got to get rid of that and go back to we the people. That's what, it was started as. That's how it's supposed to be.
But you've got so many groups now that they're, these different groups of people that are all so into, like, their belief systems are so extreme that we're just not meshing anymore. Like, never,
no,
people aren't coming together.
It breaks my heart. It really does.
Yeah. But like I said, it's been engineered that way to segregate us, and it's working for whoever's engineering this. It's working, and they've convinced everybody that they're so big and powerful now that we're basically powerless. And I don't believe
it's like,
that at all.
The puppet and the puppet master effect.
They've tricked us into believing that, though.
Yep. And it's very sad.
I don't believe it's true.
Because I really believe that our country as a whole are much better than what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I do. And I have to have faith that at some point everybody will realize that. And that has nothing to do with the paranormal aspect. But, I hope that it's sooner than later.
Me too. But if with our belief system, what we believe with God and the Lord and such, I don't know if we're going to come back from this without, the gathering up and the return of God and that kind of, I don't know if, it seems to me like this is supposed to continue to just decline until it's God himself that comes back to set it straight. So I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. It just, like I said, depends on how accurate we are with our beliefs,
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens. And hopefully, I mean, we'll probably be in this fight. So if we're alive.
Well, the big battle's already started.
Yeah.
According to the foots, we are ahead of it right now.
I'm ready to armor up and get in the fight if I have to.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
All right.
Well, it's been fun, sweetheart. I love you, and I'm glad you're doing better.
I'll call you tomorrow or message you.
I'll be home.
Okay.
Cat's working on weekend. You can have a wonderful night. It's been fun on a show again.
You too.
Okay, baby. Love you. Bye-bye.
I'll talk to you soon. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, my loves. That is it for tonight's podcast. That is a wrap. I want you guys to know, I don't know if you do know, I am on Apple, Breaker, Spotify. Oh my gosh, there's a bunch of them. I'm going to have to write them down and tell you the list next week or next time I'm on. Also on YouTube. And I do have Facebook groups. One is called Cryptid and Supernatural Encounters. It's on Facebook. And I also have the In the Dark podcast is up on Facebook as a group. That one's not too, I don't really do much with advertising, but it, it's just something I just want you guys to know. I am going to be posting, I have the pictures up now that Robin was speaking about. She was talking about the video that she sent me earlier on the podcast about the I can't talk tonight, geez, the UFO encounter that was out around her house. She has it, and I have it up on the Facebook groups and also the pictures. So please check that out. It's on Facebook. I really have to stop sending out personal emails to people with pictures. I'm getting too many requests for stuff, so I'm going to just try to turn it over to Facebook or possibly YouTube if I can get them up on YouTube. I'm not sure if I can. I'm not that savvy yet. I'm still kind of learning all this, but they are up on the Facebook groups, Cryptid and Supernatural Encounters, and also the In the Dark group on Facebook. So look for that and keep as much positivity as you can in your life, guys. Don't forget that. Say your prayers, stay safe. Just, find your little mode of whatever makes you happy and focus on that. Even if you're dealing with depression or anything that's really bad or hard in your life, find something that makes you happy. It could be, just anything you can, if you're doing something and you find that it really lifts you up, really start to focus on something like that. So it's really important we all know that and learn it. I will be putting the other part of this podcast that was on that I edited out, and I'm going to be putting that up in a day or two. And that's with Robin's, more her supernatural encounters, not the one, these are more like ghost demons and spirits that she's had encounters with. I want to make sure you guys have that and you guys get that. So look for it. It'll be up in a couple days here. You guys stay safe. Take care, everyone. Talk to you soon.